Welcome back to the latest episode of Fearless in Devotion with me, Tim. I'm also joined by Liam and a certain Tomi Caws. There's no Andy today. He is held up somewhere, I think the south of France, masquerading as something somewhere. I don't know what he's up to. And Reese is otherwise indisposed as well. So you've got us three to talk you through all things Crewe and upcoming match against Stockport. Final game of the season. As always, sponsored by the Fat Boss. So thank you to Rich for his endless support. Also on that, Mize Green Hall is the venue for the live FID event on Friday. It's sold out within 24 hours, which I don't know about you, Liam. My head was a bit like, is it the club that's popular, or do people like listening to us talk shite?
Well, I said I put something out saying I can't believe someone's paying to come and watch us talk shit, but apparently it's a thing. Someone said you're too modest. Like, I'm really not, mate. I don't, I'm questioning people's sanity. I'm glad about it, but
Yeah, I mean, it's good. And like, we just want to thank everybody who bought a ticket. We ended up putting a few more on as well, I think, on the Monday, and that went again. And I've had people requesting, have you got your tickets? So there's scope for it. We've got an exciting panel of people sort of charting different promotions. So Alan Hill, Mickey Thomas are going to talk about the 70s one, 77, 78. Then we've got Lee Trundle and Andy Morrell, a devastating partnership of the 2002-2003 season. They're going to be in the house to discuss that season. And we've also got, who else we got, Liam? I forgot. Oh, we got Mark Morris
yeah.
and Wayne Phillips from the 92-93 season. So all that, plus some prizes, some stalls. Food's going to be served as well, so hopefully should be a good night. So thanks everybody for selling it out. We've also invited, obviously, the owners, should they ever be at a loose end, they're going to be in town. One would lead to believe. So, if Rob and Ryan and anybody else wants to come down and it's a controlled environment, a couple of hundred people, it's all good. So you're more than welcome. Anyway, let's crack on. Basking in the glow of another lovely defeat, a lovely win rather, 3-0 at Crewe for the second time this season. It was all a bit easy, to be honest. Liam, did you go or did you stay at home and just dance around your living room, seeing how
Yeah,
easy it was?
just enjoyed it from home, but it was again, we've had players on the piss for a couple of days, and it just doesn't seem to stop. And they seem to be really enjoying their football. And sort of for all the chat this week about, we'll come on to it in a bit, but too many games coming from Premier League managers. We've got a team here in League Two who look like they couldn't give a shit how many games they played this season. Just really enjoying their football. Some really nice goals as well, I thought. I don't think Crewe, I couldn't understand at times why they were sitting back off us so much. They were just sort of inviting it on themselves. But yeah, it was nothing but enjoyable. And I'd imagine if you were there in person, it was a rather good day too.
Yeah, it was just everything about it, the sort of fancy dress, the party atmosphere, no pressure really, which is no pressure to sort of get those points. And I think that the players showed that they could just go out and enjoy themselves. Tommy, he must have loved it. Obviously, Ollie Palmer back on the score sheet for the first time since November, I think. Such a good goal that set the tone for the rest of the game, really.
Yeah, it was absolutely outstanding, mate. It was a cracking away day. One of my favourites of the season, if not my favourite, actually, to be honest. It's right up there. I never thought I'd have so much fun sitting at a stand called the Ice Cream Van stand. But yeah, it was outstanding, mate. It really was. And some great fancy dress on show, as you know, Tim.
Yeah, did they sell ice creams in that stand? I didn't see anybody. It's a bit weird. It's like Stoke Cold Coffee, but they don't sell at the racecourse,
Yeah. It's,
and you've
it's a
got
bit
ice cream.
without being too critical of the club, it's a bit like having a stand called the Wrexham Lager stand and selling Caws or Carlin, isn't it? But yeah, yeah, it was brilliant, mate. Yeah, really, really enjoyed it. And as Liam said there, it was just incredible how easy it was, and we were absolutely sensational. Actually, one of the best away performances of the season, and so weird considering, like we all said there. We thought, the players would be hungover and stuff like that. I've certainly been hungover all week. Well, I haven't had a chance to have a hangover. I've just been going non-stop. But
You're still drunk. You're still
I'm
drunk, basically.
still drunk. Yeah, that's the secret. Just never stop. I'm not sure that is the secret for any kids listening, but yeah. Brilliant, mate. Absolutely enjoyed it, and do you know what? It was great to see Youngie have a good run out as well, and I'm sure we'll get onto that. But I really enjoyed his performance as well.
Yeah, well, let's stick with it. I mean, obviously George Evans was the only change to that starting 11. Luke Young comes in, captains the side. I mean, there's been this general narrative throughout the course of the season that he's probably likely to go at the end of the season. Where do you stand on that? Was it like a bit of a gesture? Do you see him going? There are some certain elements of the fan base that say, "Well, he deserves another year." Where do you? Because obviously we'll get into the who's staying, who's going probably next week. But in terms of where you're at with him now, what would you do?
Oh, I'd keep him on in a
Yeah,
heartbeat, 100%. I think. Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. I don't think. Well, it's probably quite well documented. I haven't really looked at the wages and stuff like that, but I can't imagine he's one of the top earners. He's just one of those players. It doesn't matter how many games a season he plays. Whenever he comes in, he never lets anyone down. He gives you a 7 out of 10. He gives you a 7 out of 10 every single game, and those players, they're hard to find. Just players, and also one of my favourite things about Youngie, apart from the fact that he's just a great bloke, all around bloke as well. But one of my favourite things about him is he never shies away, he never hides, he always wants that ball, and for us to play the way we play, I think it's important to have a guy like that in midfield. Listen, he's if we're in League One, he's not good enough to be a week in, week out starter. I think that's fair to say. But in terms of someone you can bring in after a couple of injuries, I mean, look no further than someone like Youngie. And he's, you know what? I think there's different shades of legend. I wouldn't say he's a Wrexham legend quite, but he's certainly an icon of the club after so many years. And he's been on the journey with us from the start. So for me, it's a no-brainer. Give him a contract. And yeah, I'm sure. I know for a fact that family feels settled in the area. It would break my heart, put it this way, Tim. It would break my heart if he went to TNS. But yeah, that's a rumor. I don't think that'll happen. But that's a rumor that's been doing the rounds. But yeah, I'd love to see him say.
Liam, do you concur, or are you a different zone?
This is going to sound like perverse logic, but because I really like Luke Young, I think for his own good, I'd like to see him go purely from the fact that I feel like under Parky, his game time is just gradually dwindling and dwindling. And I don't want it to get to a point where, he's just always sat on the bench, not getting a look in. I think he's still got a few years ahead of him and he could make a real contribution, still make a few memories in football by playing regular first team football. But I would be, like Tommy, I would be absolutely gutted if he went, because how long he's been with us and what he's done for us, he's been an important part of it at the end of the day to get to where we are. But I just wonder for his own sake whether it's time to move on. But I'm sure it'll become clear in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, fair enough. A few sort of points to sort of go back on yesterday's game. James Mclean, we'll come to James Mclean Senior in a minute, but his kid is in the Crewe Academy. I don't know if you saw it, Tommy. Him and a couple of the other academy kids were doing a lap of honour on the pitch beforehand. And is his name Junior? Is it Junior Mclean? I want to say that, or is it? I can't remember off the top of my head. But Mclean's son is amongst that crop doing a bit of a lap of honour. And the James Mclean song goes up, and Mclean Junior looks over and starts doing this, like wait for us to sing it louder. I was like, Jesus Christ, Chip off the old block. He's definitely learned some wind-up traits of his old man, of which we kind of maybe saw some in towards the dying embers of that first half. He gets a bit of a whack, didn't like it, gives the man a bit of a gentle hug and whispers into his ear stroke neck area, much to Phil Parkinson's laughter if you see the stills of the images doing the rounds at the moment. Lee Bell, Crewe manager, and a lot of their players been whinging about that. They were already a goal down, and they said it should have been a sending off. I'm not sure about it. What do you make of that, Tommy? I didn't think. I mean, we would say that, I guess, but I didn't really see it as a red.
No, definitely not. I mean, I was a long way from it. As you know, I haven't seen the replays or anything like that. But
Right,
yeah,
Arsene Wenger,
yeah, good. Yeah, I never saw Arthur Bergara wearing shorts in March, but yeah, but, so yeah, I think to me, where I had a decent view of it. I was watching it obviously from a distance, but no, it's not sending off. I think Mclean's reacted. He's reacted there. He's probably overreacted if we're being honest, but no, he hasn't done enough to warrant sending off. But James Mclean being who he is, you had that big, massive, oversized stand full of angry Englishmen, and that just happens week in, week out. And do you know what? I think he gets a lot from it as well. That the hatred he receives and things like that, it spurs him into these good performances. And but yeah, on that incident, mate, definitely not a red. Yellow, fair enough. And if you remember rightly, we scored almost straight away.
Yeah, straight from that free kick. Yeah,
just rub a bit of salt in the wounds. So yeah, it was a nice few minutes.
The most perfect Route 1 goal from that free kick. Lump it long, Palmer flick on. Like literally, I don't know what the Crewe centre halves are doing. Mullen just ghosting. It's a neat lob for, was it goal 104? I think it's 104 now, which is just mental. I mean, him and Palmer are just the unbreakable combination, aren't they? Both on the score sheet, along with Andy Cannon in the second half. Another sort of part of all that was the handball. Did you see what the Crewe admin had put out? The very, very salty Crewe admin was that Mullen had shoved their player Cooney, I think it was. I think Cooney was the one that might have kicked out of something. I can't remember if he was involved in it, but yeah, Cooney was apparently pushed by Paul Mullen, which made him reflex and put his arm like a curled motion to bring the ball down. It's a red card. Anybody with two eyes can see it's a red card. What planet? I mean, Crewe basically are masking over the cracks. They did this mini season ticket, and if you're a neutral, you get value for money because 3 home games and Crewe lost every one of them 3-0. So not just yesterday that's been an issue, but I mean it was definitely red, wasn't it, Liam? You're happy with what you saw with that, and it's clear as day.
Yeah, there's a lot of whinging. I watched their manager's post-match interview, and Jesus Christ, I'm getting fed up of whinging managers at the moment. Between sort of Pep Guardiola, not comparing him to Crewe's manager, by the way, by any stretch, but you just think, just take your medicine. You've been beaten quite comfortably, and say Mullin pushed him is absolute bull. I watched it several times. It's all a bit weird. I'm sort of ambivalent about a red card just because of where it is on the pitch, but then if that's the rule, then deliberate, it's a red card in it. But to say that Mullin pushed him, no, not having that whatsoever.
Yeah, it's not even forceful, is it? It's just it's contact to contact, very, very minimal contact to contact. So I don't know what he's whinging about really. But going back to the celebrations, Tom, I mean, everything about it was so controlled from start to finish. The goals were great. Everything went our way, regardless. The handball was a handball. Blah blah blah. Parky could afford the luxury of subbing Mclean at half time, probably to protect him and to have him ready for the Stockport game as well, because there was running the risk of him potentially getting sent off if he'd have carried on in the second half. And then at the end of the game, all the players coming over to support the 1,700 Wrexham fans that was there. Pretty much, it was almost felt like it was the last game because it was like, the clapping was so prolonged. Mullin getting involved in the chant that me and you got slapped for at Colchester, amongst the fraternity there. I didn't like that song. I think he got it. I think reading between the lines, he probably maybe was a bit too hasty with that comment, and he was quite happy to get involved in the singing of it yesterday. I think he posted something on his Instagram as well. That and Arthur being asked to sign the contract. Where do you stand on this now? Because we've seen a few reports this week that other clubs are in the market for him, which is no great surprise. He's leading the way for, I don't know, some sort of crazy stat in terms of, was it shots saved per game or something? He's the highest in the country. I know what we all want to happen. It's pretty safe to say we all want to keep him. What do you make of it? What do you think is going to happen with him?
Well, yeah, first of all, yeah, the celebrations were great. And also, we slightly adapted the song, didn't we, Tim, to We Always Win Away instead of We Never Win Away, which was good. I think, yeah, that certainly that solved that problem with Mullin, didn't it? But yeah, that was brilliant. And do you know what? Just the last thing on the celebrations at the end and you know the atmosphere. It felt like Bury away 2003. I'm sure you were
Yeah.
both there. And it was, you know, that was 3-0 as well. It felt so similar to that. It was great, and obviously that was the last time we got promotion from League Two, wasn't it? So yeah, that was brilliant, and that's what made it so special. I think on a Okonkwo, mate, it's a no brainer for me. I think you know, we're lucky enough to have you know, a really big budget, as we know, and as the fans like to let us know. Get him signed up. I mean, for me, one thing I'd like to see now is us secure the futures of young players. Like Cleworth is obviously the jewel in the crown, isn't he? For me, in terms of young players, but Okonkwo, I think he's been outstanding. He's had bits of criticism since the turn of the year. Obviously, Blackburn, he was slightly suspect a little bit, and then he went on a little bit of run where he looked a little bit shaky, maybe. But he's a young goalkeeper. This guy is going to be just unbelievable for us in years to come if we can get him tied down. And I would honestly, you know, I don't know how it sort of works in terms of paying a fee or anything like that. But for me, get him tied down. This guy is going to be an outstanding goalkeeper. He's championship quality. He's got. I would honestly say he's top half League One quality now. He's going to be championship quality. Get him tied down. It's a no brainer.
Would you reckon, Liam? Because presumably the wage structure is going to have to be broken. And somebody said the other day, it might have been you, Tom, I can't remember, but you know, who's going to tell Paul Mullin that Arthur's worth twice what you are?
Yeah,
That's a conversation we had.
that is the dilemma. Like if you're talking hypothetically, let's say Mullin's on, I don't know, what, 7K a week, something like that, and then Arthur's wanting, you know, something like 15K or whatever than that, then you've got a bit of a situation. But then again, I think the thing for the club is they're going to have to look at the wage structure overall and consider how far do they want to move the line, because they're going to have to. Now that we're in League One, that's just a financial reality of it. And I was speaking to my dad about this today, and he said people underestimate how important that goalkeeper spot is. That's the one you want to get nailed down quite early on. So when you think of it like that, I can see the value in, you know, spending a bit of money, getting that top quality keeper who's going to be with us, hopefully, you know, for a couple of years. Because you think, how many keepers have we had over the last sort of few years? Like I know the likes of Langton have been about a while, but then he's been injured a bit. We had the whole Foster scenario at the start of this season, and I think going into League One, you know, all of us would absolutely be more than comfortable to see Arthur in goal. So is that not a huge argument to just say, you know what, stuff it, just what he within reason, pay the lad what he wants, you know, type of thing, and then we just look at what we do with the wage structure more generally.
Yeah, no, it's key, isn't it? I mean, goalkeeper and striker, you want somebody to keep the ball in the net and somebody to put it in the net, so that they're key parts of the pitch. He looks quite coy in terms of like us urging him to sign a contract, but he's so chill about everything anyway. I don't think that's anything to look into. It'd be interesting to see what happens over the next few weeks. But then who'd have thought we'd be here 2 years ago talking about promotion to League One, talking about potential goalkeeper on 60 grand a month. Mind blowing, isn't it? What were we talking about? It's just absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I can't remember who said it. We could be wrong, but we were told that Aaron Hayden and Jordan Tunnicliffe did not travel with the party on Friday night into Saturday. Obviously, they stopped over Friday night. Is there anything to look into that? What we thinking? I mean, you know, at the start of the season, we all would have laughed at one another. They said, "Well, we don't need him next season," and now we're in a very different thought process. I think, Tom, what do you think?
Mate, I just missed the start of that. My internet went down a little bit. What was it? What
Oh,
did, what were we
dodgy
thinking last season?
dodgy Denby internet. No, just in terms of Aaron Hayden and Jordan Tunnicliffe at the start of the season, we would have said, well, they're 100% starters, always involved in this squad, and now we're in sort of not so sure zone based on their injury record, really.
Yeah, and I think that's the top of it, Tim. If these guys, were available every game, they wouldn't be going anywhere because they're League One standard players, if not higher, maybe. I think Aaron Hayden especially has proven in a red shirt just how good he is. But it's an inescapable fact. If you're not if you're available for less than 30 games a season, we need a little bit more reliability in that. Listen, these guys are great characters. I was lucky enough, as you know, very drunkenly to spend a lot of time with these lads. Last week at the Fat Boar and when I was working for the Daily Post, and get to know these guys. They are genuine people, and I don't think there's anything untoward in the fact that their unavailability or anything like that. But yeah, it's a shame, really. It's a shame that that both just seem to really, when they get a bit of a run of games, they take a knock, they pick up a knock, and then all of a sudden they're out, they're ruled out, and it's a long way back. Yeah, I think it would be really, I'd be really sad to see them both go. I really would, but yeah, I think it'd probably be at this point the correct decision. Owen O'Connell has come in, for example, and just been absolutely outstanding and talked, basically played his way into the talking for player of the season, perhaps.
Yeah.
Max Howarth the same. So, these guys are going to be looking at it and going, yeah, we're probably going to be having limited games now. Listen, it's a different conversation. If players of that quality are happy to stick around and perhaps stick on the bench and be like the first sort of reserve, if you like, then fantastic. I mean, what what a fantastic sort of backup option that would be. But I think they're both probably at an age, especially Aaron Hayden, where they need to be playing games. So yeah, it'd be very like a bit like the Youngie situation. It'd be very sad to see him go. Really, really sad. But Parky be weighing all this up, and he's a very canny operator as well. He knows how to spend his budget quite wisely, which some rival fans might laugh at and say, he spends a lot of money, but he, he doesn't waste money. And yeah, certainly, he'd be looking at the wage structure and he'd be thinking, who can give us the best value pound for pound, and maybe it might be time for those two to maybe move on.
Yeah, no, true enough. Before we go on to other matters which have transpired over the past 7 days, which has been a bit of a weird week, really, in sort of Wrexham land. Before we go into that, before we bring in our guest for this week, Liam, there's a simple question that I want to ask you. We're going to have this discussion without context right now, because it's a question that our dear friend Andrew Gilpin, currently last seen in France, answered to Mr. Caws when Mr. Caws was moonlighting on his Men in Blazers thing, which you can find on all available platforms, including YouTube. And I think the question was asked, Tommy, you asked him if, presumably, if Wrexham can go up again. So, Liam, in your infinite wisdom, Andy gave a weird answer to Tommy that basically sounded like he was an Australian Cockney Dick Van Dyke, and it's such a weird mashup. So, have a listen to what Liam's done. So this is the Gorillas featuring Andy Gilpin.
Can we go up again? It's there.
It's glorious. It's glorious. Oh. Can we go up again?
Can we go up again?
We can take the piss out of him because he's not here. That's it.
Oh.
But so the question is, the question is this.
Can we go up again? It's there.
So can we go up again?
That's
slightly South African as well, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of chatter about, oh yeah, let's get to League One and consolidate. I completely understand that argument because you can't be too greedy. But if we keep the nucleus of this squad, the spine of the squad, it's strong. Rumours are they are going to invest heavily again. I don't think any team has gone from the National League to the Championship. There's been other teams that have done it over 4 or 5, 6 years, but they never bounced from there to there. So, can we do it again? And what's the gist here, Liam?
Oh, set me off again. To be honest, I don't think anyone at the at the club, whether it's management, the owners or anything that is going to be setting out to to consolidate. They'll all be wanting to go for it again, I think, and I get that impression that I think we'll be seeing a decent caliber of player coming in. I'm sort of on board with the logic of, like, if we did have to consolidate, if it was just a season mid-table, I would like to hope that this time fans won't get their asses in a twist, because I was happy to be in League Two at the start of this season. Now we're in League One, so it's all a bit of, I'm sort of the quote unquote legacy fan, thinking, good, we're back where we belong type of thing. But I honestly don't think anyone at the club will be doing anything other than gearing up. The only thing I would say that was interesting was that interview of Tozer on Talksport, where he was saying, what's the one thing you really need sort of infrastructure wise, and it's that training ground. And I think all these things come together, but it would just be nice to have the things to go with, like, to say, if we were to go up to the Championship, to have those other things back in place as well. We're being really greedy here, aren't we, to be honest, given we haven't had a pot to piss in for a while. But it's just those infrastructure things to go alongside the promotions as well.
Yeah. Tommy, the short form version of that, can it be done?
Oh yeah, it can absolutely be done. Do I think it'll happen? No, I don't. I think we'll be, if we finish top half next year, that's a successful season. I really, really do think so. I also think as well, would it be the best, that this is going to sound strange, but would it be the best thing to go straight up again? I think we need a season of consolidation, that as a club we need a training ground, the infrastructure. Liam mentioned it there. I think that's important. I think let's just slow it down a little bit. I've got no doubt we'll get there. I've got no doubt whatsoever we'll get to the Championship. But no, let's calm it down. Hey, listen, it'd be fantastic, wouldn't it? 3 promotions on the trot, like you say. I can't recall anyone doing it. But no, I think it would be the best thing for the club long term. The thing you don't want to do is get up to the Championship and go straight back down, because it's almost like a wasted season. So let's have a season of consolidation. Let's for me, what I'd like to see is to sign some young players who perhaps will stay at the club for the next 6 years. I think what Parkinson's done really well is brought in guys like your Ben Tozer, who will do a great job for 3 years, and that was the plan, and that's how it's panned out. Let's aim a little bit sort of longer term, and sorry, you did say short film. It wasn't short film, but yeah, I'm sure you know where I'm going with it.
No, it's all good, mate, all good. Anyway, before we bring our guest in, and before I do my slightly disastrous Book of Okonkwo offering, despite a mishmash of people saying, yeah, carry on with it, to some guy walking past me yesterday going, no more Book of Okonkwo. Like, wow. It was like a silent assassin. Didn't even stop to talk. He just walked past and went, no more Book of Okonkwo. Thanks for that. Thanks for that ringing endorsement. But I'm still doing one. And until the day he's no longer here. And if he signs, I'll do a final one. If he leaves, I'll do a final one. Anyway, the week that was, FA Cup replays and fan bans. Where do we start? Let's start with the fan ban stuff, because that was a bit mad. Obviously, pitch invasion last week, outpouring of joy. These things happen for the most part. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that's been said, and we've got to be careful with how we discuss it. But Liam, what's your take? Because obviously we know the ins and outs of who's had what, or who's been spoken to and talked about in the office and so on. But where do you think all this lies? Should it be more of a discretionary thing, or is it a zero tolerance approach?
I think for me, it all comes down to the context of it. We're not going to go into the individuals and what's happened where, but as far as I was concerned, last weekend was a joyful time. It was a celebration. Everyone who was on that pitch, they were all there to celebrate the fact that Wrexham had got promoted. So that's an important context, because you're not talking about people running over to opposing fans, causing trouble, blah blah blah. I didn't see anything that happen on that pitch that I thought, oh Christ, this is trouble. So to then find out that there'd been bans issued off the back of it, just that fact alone, I was left scratching off the back of my head. And again, I'm not going to go into individuals, but I just feel like, to me, that the way it's been done, where it feels like fans are almost proactively being targeted, it just leaves a bit of a, I don't know, a sour note on what was otherwise a really great day. So yeah, that's as much as I'm going to say on it, but difficult one to stomach, really.
Tommy?
Yeah, I can only echo what Liam said. Really, I think this is a really joyous occasion. This is not something that should be soured by by being heavy-handed. That's the term I would use. Is sometimes I think it's fair to say, and I'm being I'm not going to say too much more because I get in a lot of trouble. But I think the club have been very, very heavy-handed with certain individuals in certain cases. Listen, if people have, you can't condone certain things that happen at football games, and there's certain things that we'd all agree should not happen, and there's certain things where people get banned, and you cannot complain. But there's been a few instances where I think the club have been very, very heavy-handed, to say the least, and that's disappointing because that there's laws, of course, you've got to adhere to the laws, but at the same time, there's a couple of things that have happened where I'm going, Christ, really, is that the best use of your time as a member of staff for the football club to chase a good individual and try and and try and get him a lengthy ban? So that was disappointing. It took a lot. It took a bit of the shine off it for me, off the celebrations, and all I saw, and I was there on the pitch. I've been as honest as anyone, and all I saw were joyful scenes. I didn't see any trouble, didn't see any issues whatsoever, including Forest Green fans who applauded us. It was just a joyful occasion. So to see on Monday morning or Tuesday, so quickly, um, you know, individuals like receiving letters, it's a real shame, and for very minor things as well.
Okay.
So yeah, that's something the club need to look at. And to be fair to Rob, I've got to Rob McElhenney, got to hand it to him. He's been straight on the button on Twitter, and he said, "Listen, we're going to look into this," and that's really great news to hear because they know how passionate we are as fans, and that maybe does it go slightly overboard sometimes? Maybe it does, but so some of these issues we're talking about are very minor.
Yeah. Okay. I suppose just sticking with that sort of issue for a second. I don't know whether you concur with this. To me, it makes perfect sense now that we've got Stockport Saturday, final game of the season, champions versus an already promoted side. We're not getting rid of each other anytime soon. Don't go on the pitch because we've already done it once a season. It's a bit weird to be doing it 2 home games in a row, and it just smacks of Billy Big Bollocks. And it's pointless because a lot of these players that you will see on Saturday will be the last time you see them in a Wrexham shirt. So all I would say is give them the respect they deserve. They've given pretty much their all for this cause. Let them have the moment. If we do a guard of honor for Stockport, whatever, whatever, it doesn't really matter. They deserve winners, fair enough. Let's focus on our players. Final whistle goes, stay behind, whatever the result, clap these players off because they deserve it, because they've got us from essentially the depths of despair in most of our eyes to step 3 in the pyramid, which is a big, big deal. So please stay behind, applaud them. Don't go on. Not that you need us to tell you that. The club taking the action they've taken this week should give you enough notice to suggest don't give any sort of reason to be banned, really, is what we'd say. Going on to a slightly different topic, we are going to bring our guest in because I've just texted him to say we're slightly run over, but my Okonkwo offering is going to be about 20 seconds long. Thank God. It's going to be shit, but it's going to be fun. I've only rehearsed it once today. I'm not doing Pavarotti because Gilpin's not here, so he can shove it. If he wants me to do Pavarotti, he'll have to be here in person, sort of gallivanting around Galwa. Anyway, FA Cup replays.
Galwa's French for Welsh, mate.
Oh, of course it is. What am I thinking? Not had enough coffee. Not had enough coffee. I've just signed up to some weird fitness thing. That's why I'm all flustered. But there we are. Yeah, you know what I meant. Whatever. I'll just say France. Be easier. I'll just stick with that shit joke. Keep running through this pod. Yeah, FA Cup replays. Wrexham, one of a handful of teams that didn't come out with a statement condemning the abolishment of FA Cup replays after the first round. I think all the earlier sort of qualifying rounds still get replays, but from the first round onwards, there are no more replays. So obviously, a lot of us, well, all of us in here, have probably witnessed some Wrexham FA Cup replays, whether that's been Marine at Nantwich to some more enjoyable ones, the West Ham ones of yesteryear. Wimbledon, we got out of jail there, So, I mean, it makes no sense now to release a statement because there's too much time has elapsed. Liam, what's your take on it? What is your theory behind the reasons the club may have not put one out?
Well, I think any football fan in their right mind generally has spoken out against it this week. It's basically your top 6 teams trampling over everyone else. I saw an interview with Pep Guardiola where he's even like, "Yeah, well, it's crap for everyone else, but it's great for us," which just really wound me up. So from that point of view, I think everyone's pretty much against it. There's one part of me that thinks, is this whole people issuing statements, is it a bit tokenistic? Is there a better gesture that in time clubs can come to that will ultimately mean this gets overturned? I hope so. In terms of my theory behind it, I guess there's 2 possibilities. One is that the club just hasn't been that hot off the mark from a communications perspective with a pretty hot button issue. But then as time's gone on, that becomes harder to stick with. My other thought was, does the fact that one of our directors was sort of involved, not in this decision, but in the past, sort of talks of shaking up English football when Sean Harvey was the EFL chief exec. I did manage to find a few articles, I think sort of dating back to 2016, where he had this solution, which basically, I think at the time it involved more FA Cup weekends being moved to midweek, but also scrapping replays in the 4th and 5th rounds. So you can see how these ideas evolve over time. And when you've got someone as centrally involved at Wrexham as Sean's been, would it be slightly awkward from a PR perspective if you put something out and then someone turns around to you and goes, "Hey, hang on a minute, your director sort of set this in motion."
Hey up! By the way, you got the Yorkshire in there. Hey
that could have been Sean himself, couldn't it? But yeah, that's just a theory. But it's. I think I've seen quite a lot of people who are very unhappy about it. Mark Crichton Beast has been quite outspoken about it on Twitter, and he'll have been involved in those games against Brighton, I'm pretty sure. And from what I understand, that those 2 legs over Brighton, I don't want to say like saved the club, but when the trust initially took over, that really helped to put us on a good financial footing. I mean, I think people were resentful because the money had to go to pay off Ian Roberts, one of our previous owners, but then again, it helped us clear a debt that unfortunately we're going to have to pay either way. So they are big. These replays are a big deal for clubs, at a level where we were not so long ago.
Tommy, final thought on the replays?
Again, mate. Again, Liam's absolutely spot on. Listen, let's not forget who we are. We're Wrexham Football Club, and some of the greatest moments in our history has been in the FA Cup, and a lot of them have been replays as well. To me, it's a real shame that we failed to put a statement out there. I understand, the reasons why. We've speculated there. I think we can probably more than speculate and pretty much nail down the reasons why we haven't, as a club, put a statement out. But yeah, for me, real shame, and just to have that bit of solidarity. It was an opportunity missed, but I mean, credit to the supporters trust. Obviously, no real sort of power in any way or anything like that now, but no, credit to the supporters trust for putting a statement out. At least there's something that's come out of Wrexham, on the matter. So yeah, that was good. Real shame though. As I say, this club has been built on fantastic FA Cup memories, and really, it's poor. It's poor, really. I'm disappointed.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. I think pretty much sum up my thoughts as well. Really. Anyway, let's lighten the mood. He says in brackets. Let's get it out of the way. It's been a while.
This
Right.
is gonna darken my mood, mate. To be honest, but yeah, cheers.
Well, yeah, we could do, because when we get Russ and the Scarf Bergara Wore podcast, Stockport fan on in a minute, that either darken your mood or lighten it again. So let's just go with it. This came to me in a flash of inspiration the other day. So this is the Book of Okonkwo featuring Europe and the final countdown. We're heading to League One, and still we stand tall, 'cause maybe they've seen us and hated by all. With so many bright years to go and things to be won, I'm sure that we'll all miss him so. It's Arthur Okonkwo. Arthur Okonkwo. Come on, give us a mark out of 10.
That's a hard one to sing, to be fair.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
I don't think
tell you
it was
what,
that
there are
bad.
a few. There are a few delightful notes in there, Tim. I'm quite impressed by that. To be fair, It's
Yeah,
quite
well,
nice.
it's Gilpin's the one who flusters me. He's like the who's the bad guy from Strictly or The Voice. He's one of those bastards. He's like the Simon Cowell of Fearless, really.
Yeah.
Just a bit of a pest. So he's the one that always makes. Anyway, let's get Russ in. Hang on, my dog is whinging. Entertain yourselves for a second. Well, I get the dog on the floor.
Well, bloody hell, what about that then? And that was a turnout for the Bucks, wasn't it?
I know, I'm
Yeah.
back. Professional, right?
Top-
Professional, right? Anyway, our guest is about to join us. Let's be kind. The only guard of honor we've got from Russ is probably on Tommy's deodorant table. So, Russ, welcome. Congratulations on your title-winning escapades. Let's get that out of the way first. I'm surprised you didn't come on with some sort of flag or champions or singing the song.
No.
You look like a man who's quite measured and enjoyed the celebrations. So, thanks for joining us, mate.
No, cheers for having us. Cheers, chaps.
How did you celebrate? Were you on various pub rooftops as well?
I didn't go on a pub rooftop, no, but I was in Basque last night with all the players. So that was pretty good. Got some selfies, had a few chats, got some numbers for my own podcast, like you do. Got to take the opportunity, haven't you? But yeah, it was really good.
Is Basque a club, not like the Basque separatist group? You went in like a small part of Spain anyway.
It's
Where's
BASK.
Oh, there you go, Basque.
Yeah.
I had Juan Ugarte in my head for some weird reason. Then our former Basque player. Russ, obviously, it's been a bit of a mad season. I mean, this time last year you were kind of knocking on the door, and then ultimately it went to the playoff final. Defeat on penalties, all the sort of heartache of that. What's been the main differences between missing out last time and this year? Has there been any sort of major additions, or is it just that whole spurring on from what happened last time?
Yeah, I don't think major additions. I mean, you can call Louis Barry a major addition, but he's been injured for most of the season, as have a lot of players. So, no, I wouldn't say any sort of major addition. It's more we just built on last season and found a way to be better in the final third. We were always good in the defensive third and middle third with the players we've got. We added one or two in those areas. Nick Powell, as you know, he's been class for us, but just been more clinical. Just been putting the ball in the back of the net more, which I know it sounds crazy, and that's what the game's all about, isn't it? But that's pretty much it. Last season we were playing the same way because it's the Challengers' way of playing, just missing so many chances, creating all the same chances, but missing a bag load. And whereas this season we've been just marginally putting the extra one or two away, and that's been the difference.
There we go, simple as that. And then you've coasted to it at the end, and everybody's had their sort of wobbles this season, and then you've just sort of blazed a trail similar to us in the last kind of 5 games, really. In terms of a Stockport viewpoint on a Wrexham perspective, were you kind of surprised at our season? Did you think, oh, they might do a bit of consolidation, or could you see that we were trying to do similar to what you'd done, which was build and build and build, and then finally get it right?
Yeah, I think no, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, I thought you would be definitely up there, and top three was definitely within your sights. I think last season, I think we were relatively unlucky last season because we had Northampton and Leighton Orient, who were favourites anyway. Northampton missed out on the last day, didn't they? To be automatic the previous season to Bristol Rovers, I think. So I think we were quite unlucky with that. And then you had a surprise package with Stevenage, who just pretty much blew everybody away. Whereas this season, there's not really been that. We were favourites to go up. There was no real challenges. Barrow threatened to be a surprise package, but you've done exactly what was written on the tin. I think you've come in and you've played the way you play, and you've beat what's in front of you. So fair play to you. Yeah. I've got to say though, I'm so happy that we've won it, because if you'd have won it, that wouldn't have been very nice for us.
Why? Is this still, is it, because we had this discussion last year where we kind of decided, was it year before? Must have been the year before. When we kind of just hashed it out and said that this is a competitive rivalry, not a rivalry in the sense of geographical location, even though it's less than an hour away or whatever. Is that still the case, or do you feel is it veering into other things potentially as well?
I don't think so. No, I just think it's a competitive rivalry, and that's what that's all it'll ever be. You've got Shrewsbury and Chester. We've got nobody. So United or City. I mean, and then you've got Bury and Mac. I mean,
We've got Wigan now.
They've never been no one's ever been our rivals ever. So we're not about to get one by begging, basically. So it's a competitive rivalry. That's all it is. We didn't see you as rivals at all until you nearly pipped us to the National League title, and you was chasing us down. So it's not a rivalry. It wasn't a rivalry before that, and it isn't now. There is a lot of that on Twitter though. If you noticed on X, there's loads of it going around, and it's both sets are as bad as each other, I think, when it comes to that. But yeah, but I do think it's good though. I think it's healthy.
Yeah,
and it does make for good games. Especially obviously with the result we had against you earlier in the season, and the Ben Tozer and Sarcevic sort of sideshow that's going on. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Tell us what that is, because we'll come to
so
Sarcevic in a
I
moment.
think in the FA Trophy game at your place that you won, and then the 3-0 last penultimate game of the National League season that you won, I think Tozer was giving it out a bit for winning those games. So in the 5-0 earlier in the season, Sars gave it back. Quite rightly, that's fair. That's what you do everyone's done that on a football pitch before. You win some and you lose some. So I think that's where the Sarcevic thing is coming from. And on Saturday, that will probably continue as well. That'll be a little sideshow, which would be good to see what happens there.
Be interesting. Said ex Chester player was filmed on the roof,
well,
giving it not only a fuck you Wrexham, we've gone and won the league, but a full on gangster middle finger, but like that.
Yeah,
not that.
No.
Like a proper with his bucket hat, proper gangster. Where is he from again? Out of interest, I can't imagine he's from Brooklyn.
No, he's is he from Tameside?
There you go.
Yeah, somewhere in Manchester he's from. Yeah. He's Mancunian.
But then he was giving some stick to Bolton Wanderers as well on his Instagram accounts. I put something out, and it is largely from a Chester. I think if it had been anybody else, wouldn't be asked. From a Chester perspective, put it out there. And Dave Classic Shears County, he got in touch, and I was like, "You're a man, baby. You're a mad ass." So I spoke to Dave, so we sorted that out. So I've got a bit of stick for that. But then I thought about it, and it is a valid point. I don't know, Tommy, whether you think about this. If that was if that was Paul Mullin or Ollie Palmer singing it at a rivalry you'd pick to the title or whatever, deep down we'd probably go, we kind of like that. We kind of like it. We probably stick him up as heroes. We probably would. Let's be honest.
Shithouse is one of my favourite things about football, mate. To be honest, I absolutely love it. Yeah, you give it, you've got to take it. It's as simple as that. Like I've got to say as well, going back to the rivalry with Stockport, it's been brilliant the last what is it, 3 seasons now, hasn't it? Well, minus last season because we were in the same league, but yeah, it's been brilliant. And I've got to say though, Stockport, I've always had time for Stockport generally. I don't like to blow smoke at people's backsides, but generally I have because I remember 2005. We went to Edgeley Park. I think it was the end. I think we both got relegated that year from League One, and it was around the time where we had the Hamilton situation, Tim, and Stockport fans were chanting it in massive numbers. If you want to save the racecourse, clap your hands. So that's something that's always stuck with me. So I've always had a hell of a lot of time for Stockport. Like I say, I love this competitive rivalry. We've had our old rivals, like Russ mentioned there, Chester and Shrewsbury, Tranmere. They've always been the main rivals. But this is a different type of rivalry. It's still a rivalry for me, but it's an on pitch, it's a competitive rivalry, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it again next year because we've had some great games and we've both hammered each other as well. We've both got plenty of stuff to shout about. So yeah, and it'd be great to do it back in League One.
We won't have any worries about Tozer's banter on Saturday because he won't be playing. So it'd be amazing. It'd be some surprise if he was, but he won't be playing. Simple as that. That sort of defense picks itself now. But yeah, just looking at Saturday. I mean, I think it's safe to say we're probably all expecting a very different outcome to the reverse fixture this year. It's not going to be another 5-0. I think it would be a brave man to bet on something similar. I mean, what's your thinking on it, Liam? Before we bring it back to us, just in terms of it's a weird one, isn't it? Because both sides could just go, we'll just play it like a training match, but that's clearly not going to happen. There's bragging rights to be had. There's sort of an element of revenge of that 5-0, which was probably the lowest point of the season for most of us. It wasn't very good at all. We just fell apart like a pack of cards, really. I remember what you said, Russ, last couple of seasons ago, where you said you just had to sit there and take your medicine. It's one of those things. You just got to get on with it and go, this is what happens if you're not on your game, you're going to get caught out. But yeah, Saturday, Liam, what do you think? What do you think? It's going to be a celebration, but with that added edge.
There's going to be a little bit of needle. I wouldn't expect anything major, but I can imagine a bit of Mickey taking sort of both ways, if you like. I'm quite relaxed about it as far as a competitive game of football goes. It will be one. Obviously, the players will be up for it, but I'm not majorly asked about the outcome. I mean, I don't want us to get absolutely done on our own turf, but it's a day, I think, for both sets of fans where we'll just be having a good time. I do think our lads will be up for it, but I think against the team of Stockport's side, that's sometimes, if you get overconfident, that can sometimes be your own undoing. But yeah, I'll take I was going to go down the Swiss route and say a 2-2, but I won't. I'm going to go 3-2 to us. Mulling to grab it and celebrate in front of Stockport.
Oh, he's gone early with his prediction, right? We'll keep that in the bag. 3-2, fair play. Russ, who's been Stockport's player of the season? Because we always hear Paddy Madden's name consistently because of what he does. He did it for Fleetwood, didn't he, as well? And he's got to be in the mix, is he, for you?
Yeah, he definitely is. Horsefall as well. Hinchcliffe keeper. I think he's going to win the Golden Glove, isn't he? I know he didn't win he wasn't in the EFL team. It was your lad, wasn't it, Okonkwo? But yeah, he's up there. And then we've got Ethan Pye, who was on loan at Gateshead last season. He's a product of our academy, and he's come back into the team due to injuries. Come back into the squad, should I say, due to injuries. Played near enough all season. It's just been an absolute revelation for a 20-year-old. So. Yeah, any of those really, and we arguably, I mean, when we started the season, they weren't the ones that we'd probably pick out. Maybe Paddy Madden, yes, but Louis Barry, Will Collar, they've all been out all these players have been out injured for so long. So this is why we don't get players. We haven't got hardly any players in the team of the season. You'd expect a team that's won the championship to have more in it, but because we've had so many injuries, the load has been spread across the whole squad. I think we've had 21 different scorers this season. I heard that stat yesterday. So it's been spread about. So yeah, but my choice is Horsfall because he's just a Rolls Royce of a centre half. So and when the game he missed, we lost 4-0 to Tranmere. So that tells you.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Hinchcliffe's a funny one. He does to me. He's like Arthur Okonkwo. We've got a goalkeeper who looks like a goalkeeper. I guess he's like 50 foot tall, like hands like spades. And you got Hinchcliffe who looks like he's gonna. I don't know, like he's going to come and sort of give me an estimate on my house. He doesn't look like a goalkeeper, but he's so, like you said, how many clean sheets has he had then this season?
Is it 17? I think I want to say.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but he was with us. He's been with us since 2016. I think he was a Jim Gannon signing, and he was semi-professional then, so he was still driving trucks. There was the odd Saturday that he had to miss because he was working when we're in the National League North. So he's won 3 titles with us. So he's a bit of a legend, but he's managed to improve himself. I think he's 34 now, 35. Just managed to improve himself year on year, which is fantastic.
Longest serving player then, is he at the club?
Yeah,
Gotta be.
Yeah,
by some distance. Fair one.
Yeah.
Tom, Liam, any questions for Russ before we ask the age-old question about who would get into whose team? He's got his mute on. There we go.
There you go. Classic mistake. I was just gonna, we talked, we've talked a lot about us, about how far we can go. I'm just interested to hear from Russ, like how far can Stockport go? We know big club and the fan base. Your fan base has grown. People talk about our fan base growing, which is fair comment. But I mean, in recent years, your fan base has grown as well. How far can you get? What's the dream here?
So, well, there's a plan and there's a dream. So the plan is to get to the Championship within 7 years from 2020. So we're on plan. We've got 3 years now to get to the Championship. So we're quite happy to consolidate in League One and then move up to the Championship. And to start building on Edgeley Park and get that up to an 18,000 seater stadium. So all the plans are done for that. And even the phases of the plan are done. So we know what's coming next. When it starts is another question. I think he wants to get into League One first and see how we do, see if we can keep on those crowds. So it's kind of like there is a plan. It's not just, throwing money at it as other clubs might suggest. The same with yours as well. You probably get that same shit as well. But the dream, I've spoke to Mark Stott personally, and he said once we get in the Championship and we're sustainable, with an academy and all these things, he looked at my son and he went, well then who knows, because it could happen. So I think he's thinking once you get in the Championship, without such a big gamble, you could do a Luton, couldn't you, and go into the Prem, even for a season or whatever. So we're probably no different to you in that respect. I know your owners have definitely spoken about the Prem. Mark Stott hasn't in public, but he has privately. Publicly now, because I'm talking on your podcast.
Exclusive, world exclusive.
No, but he just said who knows. So he's not. I don't think he's planning on that. But the idea is to be in the Championship and be sustainable, if there's such a thing in the Championship.
But that's the dream, isn't it? Anybody in the Championship, that's the dream because you're so close. You're so close to be in there. But then you got to be careful you don't do a Portsmouth. Remember them, the Prem and the Redknapp, and they just sank. Same as Wigan and the sort of Dave Whelan era Wigan just sank, and then similar thing, kind of Stoke, kind of in a bit of a managed decline. So you kind of have to get it right. And I think that's where clubs like Stockport and Wrexham and a few others in the mix that are trying to do it more sustainably, more diligently, and kind of like almost trying to set a bit of a precedent to how football clubs should be run. Granted, we get more of the. We get it. We get why people get annoyed that we get the column inches because it's easy clickbait. You stick Ryan Reynolds or Rob McElhenney or Disney or something in the headline. Somebody in Nebraska is going to look at it. You say Mark Stott's going to put X, Y, and Z into to get a training complex. Probably the same person in Nebraska isn't. It's that's kind of where we're at the moment. It's a weird situation really, but I think that's what makes this rivalry quite good is that as much as we don't really want to admit it, the similarities are quite obvious.
Yeah.
You know, we said about the size of the fan base, the ambition, the growth of the clubs, the hardships of the club. I think it's important not to lose sight of that. I remember when you went down to National League North, I was like, don't think Wrexham aren't good enough to go, because I always use you as an example of that. As like with that COVID season, people say too good to go down. Try telling the Stockport fans that, because I couldn't believe it. We're like, where does it end? You know, where does it end? At what point?
Look at Torquay. Look at Torquay. Yeah.
Torquay, yeah. You know,
Yeah. I've got a few mates who are Oldham fans. One of my best mates an Oldham fan, and for years and years he's always said we just don't want to do a Stockport, and now he's saying we want to do a Stockport. You know, so it's just great how we've turned it around. It's not. I mean, we are pinching ourselves with Stotty, but there was loads of hard work that went into it before that, from 2005 onwards, all the way to 2015, 2016, where we were hounding silent shareholders out and all this kind of stuff, and trying to clear the decks, trying to get the sale sharks out. And we've been through a lot of shit, as you know, as yourselves have. So we feel like we're justified. We feel like it's not just someone's not just come along and gone, oh, we're gonna take the club forward. We've done a lot of hard work up to that, and then from 2015 to 2019, and I believe it was 2018 when Mark Stott first approached and started looking at it. It took 2 years to go through that whole process, and then 2020 was the announcement. So, yeah, it's justified for clubs like us, I think. And you just mentioned there, Tim, about like this new type of club coming along. I've often had it in my head that maybe, you got the Championship's got a lot of bad press of gambling and being run poorly, and they're losing money left, right, and centre. I just wonder if there's a new type of club coming along, like ourselves, yourselves. I'm thinking Carlisle in there as well, because they've got big investment. I know they've gone down, but I think they'll start to ramp up, where you can be in the Championship and be sustainable, and not, suffer all the losses that all the Championship clubs do. That's my dream, anyway.
Yeah. No. Who knows what's going to happen over the next few seasons? But right, let's move it on. This could either be a very interesting couple of minutes, or it could be like 10 seconds. No, we don't want any of your players in our team, or vice versa. So the question is there any Wrexham players that you would like, if you could just have carte blanche, go, we're going to sign him? Who would you have in it? And obviously, me, Tommy, and Liam will give our thoughts on what Stockport players we'd like in a Wrexham team.
Okay, so I've thought about this when you prepped me about this question. So I'm going to go back to the game that we played earlier in the season, and obviously there was only one player on your team that stood out for me, that I'd like in our team, and it's Elliot Lee. Because he looked like the only player that could be asked, to be quite honest with you. No, that's unfair. He looked like he just looked class. I don't think he's been playing that well for you recently, has he?
He had a lull for maybe a couple of months, and then probably during this run-in, he's really found his form again.
Yeah. So yeah, Elliot Lee. I'm not going to say the obvious one of Mclean, because I know he's a prolific goal scorer. What is he? 1 goal away from 25 in the last 6 seasons or something each season, some ridiculous thing. Yeah, I just don't like him as a player. So on that basis, I'm not going to have him in my team. But Elliot Lee, yeah, Andy Cannon, we've already had. I was good. Well, I was disappointed when he left. I've got to say, because Andy Cannon, I came on your show during that time as well, and he's a really good player. So maybe him as well. Yeah, and I think that's probably it, to be honest. Elliot Lee stands out for me.
2.5, because you don't like Mclean as a person. I think you meant to say.
No, as a player.
As a player,
I've seen parts of your documentary, and as a person, he's sound. It's as a player, I don't like him. I think he's a shithouse. But there you go. That's just my opinion. Well, but that's good. Shithouses are good when they're playing for you, aren't they?
Yeah, we've got plenty of them now. Yeah, we've got enough of them. Liam, where would you pick any specific? In the interest of fairness, Russ has ended up with 2 there in Cannon and Lee. So
Yeah.
let's see if we can pick 2 back.
Yeah, I'm one of my first ones. It's probably not the first one that everyone would think of. But Lemon Hay Evans, I've always been a big fan of. Who did he play for before? Was it Torquay?
Okay, wasn't it?
Yeah, Torquay, yeah.
Yeah, always been a fan of his, and I was sort of hoping that we might try and sign him when you did. So that's one that straight away stands out to me. I want to be sort of contrarian, not go for Paddy Madden. I think for us, he probably falls into that shithouse category. But at the same time, I think we're in a situation where we wouldn't mind someone like that alongside Paul Mullin. Although I do wonder whether they're two maybe quite similar players.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd
So
agree
maybe
with that.
go for Wootton from that perspective then.
There we are. Tommy?
Yeah, but got to mention Paddy Madden. I've always admired him every time I've seen him. Really, really, really top player. Um, but yeah, I mean Nick Powell, I was gutted. I was gutted that we didn't sign him last summer. I've got to be honest. I mean, a lot of our fans, a bit of bravado, maybe saying, "Oh, he'd be on a lot of money, blah blah blah." Why do you care? Like we've got the money. Don't worry about it. Like, I was gutted, but yeah. So one player I certainly wouldn't want is Sarcevic, the Chester bastard. So that's all I say on that one.
just cramming it in at the end. Loving that.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
again,
If you want Sarcevic,
it's got to be side on like that. Yeah, again, you can't really look past Madden, but I think is it Alafi as well? I think he's really decent. Got something about him. I think he's in the scoring charts. Well, he's up there. He's definitely pitched in quite a few.
Yeah, yeah.
He's got second top scorer of the season for you, I think. So I think he's worth a punt, 100%. And yeah, I like the romantic idea of signing a 34-year-old goalkeeper who's storming the Golden Glove charts as well. But yeah, it's obviously it's a bit of a laugh discussing that. I don't think we're going to be poaching anybody's players anytime soon. Notts County, however, may come circling for some of them. It's quite amusing. I felt like we've had an affair with Notts County for like a year, and we've come back into your warm bosom. We've had that sort of nice little kind of like little love affair going on, and then we've gone away, had it large with Notts County, and then they've just decided this year they weren't going to bother. To be honest, they couldn't be asked. They just thought, we'll concede 7 goals.
It's a bit like, yeah. I was going to say having an affair with Notts County, and then Notts County let themselves go a little bit. So, yeah, I can do better now.
Yeah, 100%. That I think that's probably the best way of putting it. So yeah, let's get around to the sort of predictions, I suppose. I mean, Liam's gone with his bold 3-2. I think is what you said, which is a bit wild. Tom, what's your thought process going into Saturday? I think it's going to be tasty. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. I think there's going to be a sending off. That's where I'm at the moment. Before I give my prediction, what's your thinking behind it?
Well, I mean, to be honest, like I was saying about yesterday, Tim. I wasn't expecting that performance from Wrexham yesterday. I thought Wrexham would be on the beach, so to speak. But I mean, we were really, really good, really impressive. So I think it's going to be a really good game. I think both sides. There's a massive amount of pride that goes in this game as well. Neither side wants to lose. As I say, this really healthy competitive rivalry, which I actually think helps drive us both on as well. So I'm expecting a really, really good game. I think I'm going to sit firmly on the fence. I'm going to go for a draw. I'll go for a Desmond 2-2.
Desmond 2-2. Will there be a guard of honour, Tom?
I tell you what, will there be one? Should there be one? I think there will. And I think there will. And do you know what? I think there should. Why not? Listen, if it was Chester that had won the league, facing that would never happen because Chester have never won a league. But yeah, I think it'd be a different thing. I think the Stockport, give them the guard of honour. I'll stay down. I'll have a pint and leave them to it. But no, listen, give them the guard of honour. They're the champions. They deserve it over a 46-game season. I personally thought all season long that it was going to be Mansfield that will win the league. So it's a really good achievement with I think 3 really good sides at the top end of the division. So Give them the guard of honour, absolutely, and yeah, get on with it, and let's see a good game of football.
Yeah, I think that'll be the case. It would generate too many shitty headlines if we were not to do it. You know what I mean? And what you said there got me thinking before. If it was Glasgow against Rangers, it was Celtic against Rangers, and there's a guard of honour, there'd be fucking outcry. You don't do it in certain situations, do you? So I think in that respect, it will happen. It'll be done and dusted. We crack on with the game. Anyway, flyover, Russ.
Yeah.
What's going on there? And what's it going to say?
I don't know. I've just heard the rumor that there is one, so I don't know what it's going to say. I don't know who's paid for it. I've just heard a rumor that there is going to be one.
Is there going to be a counter one? Somebody mentioned the other day that there might be one.
I think it's a surface to our missile system that Rob and Ryan have invested in, haven't they?
It'd be like those things that get at baseball matches where you fire shirts out of a cannon. It'd be like that. In like catapulting through the sky. That'll be interesting anyway. That just adds to the
That's fuel to the fire, doesn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. But it's all good fun at the end of the day.
This is why I want Welsh independence, so that we'd have the ability to like shoot down this aircraft. You know what I mean? As it goes over. But yeah.
It'll be a Welsh aircraft. It'll be coming from, would it not be coming from like a little airstrip in North Wales somewhere? You want to shoot
from Harden, maybe.
Fire. Come on.
Airport, yeah. Right. You know what to do. Some plane spotters can keep us informed of that. Russ, what's your thoughts going into Saturday then? Are you surprised it was kept as a 3 p.m. kickoff?
No, because otherwise they'd have to change all of them, wouldn't they? Because they all got up at the same time. So no, I'm not surprised at that. I think we spoke about guard of honours things on our podcast with our media team as well. So the feeling from us, just before I get to the score prediction, is that if you don't do it, it kind of says more than it says a lot, doesn't it? If you don't do it, so I think you probably should, just like you say, it's not to give those headlines. We'd do it for you. I'm pretty sure we would, because that's the way Charlie is. He's very, very sort of methodical like that. We are going to come, and it will be the best team that we can put out. They're not on the beach. Charlie's got targets to hit. He said that. So he's uber professional. I'm sure Parky is as well. So I think we're going to get two really, really strong teams. And I can see Louis Barry's back. He's playing. He started on Saturday, yesterday. So he'll play. He'll either start or he'll come on. And he's just a class player. So score wise, I'm going to go for a win for County, just to see off the 3-0 thumping that we got last time we went to the race course. So I'm going to say 3-1 to us.
Oh, we've not been doubled this year. I think we're one of 5 or 6 teams that hasn't been doubled over the course of the season. So
that would tickle.
There is a lot. That'll be a lot of riding on it. I think obviously the Crewe result the other day, that was our biggest away league win of the season. We've accrued our highest amount of league points in a campaign, I think, in League Two, if I'm not mistaken. So I think, despite it being it's not a dead rubber in any respect. It is pride. It's a marker, isn't it, for next season as well? Really.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if we win, it puts us on 95, I think.
Wow.
But if you win, it puts you within 3 points of us. So it changes the optics of the final league table for me, and how we go into next season. So I think it will be taken seriously, and it will be we'll do what we've done. We'll do what we do to every team, or try to do to every team, which is come out dead fast and give you the problem. That's what's worked for us.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a good game. I didn't even know where to pitch it. I don't know. But you're right about the guard of honour, because that just writes your team talk if nobody was to do it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, bastard. Yeah. We'll stick it up them straight off the off. I'm going to go. I was going to, after all this, be like 0-0, isn't it? After all this, you've had 20 different goal scorers. We got Mullin, who's knocked 104, 105 in, since he's been here. No, you know what? No. Courage and convictions. And with Tommy, it was so good yesterday. We're finishing strong. We look good. I'm going to go 3-2. 3-2. Similar to was that yours, Liam? It was yours, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was mine.
Oh, bollocks! All right, I'll change it. I'll say 2-1. I'll say 2-1. But there's definitely goals in it. Tommy, what are you saying? Unmute, son. Unmute.
Your prediction's your prediction. You can't change your prediction because someone else has done it.
Right, fine. I'll share Liam's wondrous 5-goal thriller, and we'll go for that. Either way, we're going to do it all again next season ×2, and that's the beauty of it. And there's going to be some fans from both clubs that be like, I just hate playing them. But let's be honest, we'd rather play Stockport. We'd rather play Wrexham than Fleetwood or something. Where it's just doesn't have quite the same element of spice to it or bragging rights or we want to finish second. Really, don't really want to finish third. It'd be nice to finish second. Just to say, well, it wasn't that much in it. It's just something. It's like it's the very sort of fine margins that's what matters really. So yeah, it should be a good one. Looking forward to it, and we'll see what happens. So until next week, when the season will have drawn to a close, can't even believe that the season's finished. It's mental. I don't know where the time's gone. But I'll have a quick run round because we'll discuss this next week before we go. Liam, who's your player of the season?
Andy Cannon.
Tommy?
Andy Cannon, yeah, definitely.
Well, it would be rude not to have a clean sweep and let's say Andy Cannon. Russ might as well agree with us on that basis.
Well, I mean, let's all sing Kumbaya because he was the last player to come through our academy before we disbanded it as things were going to shit for us. Stockport, he's not a Stockport lad, is he? A Manchester lad. So yeah. Yeah,
the skinny De Bruyne, as James Mclean, his best mate, now calls him. So yeah, up at the Andy Cannons for the player of the season. Seems like he's got it in the bag. So right, I'll stop rattling on. Thanks to Russ for joining us. Thanks for everybody for buying the ticket to the event. And thanks for commenting. Just do all that stuff where you subscribe, like, and all that jazz. Follow us on X and Instagram. And yeah, until then, until next week, cheers, goodbye.
Cheers.